Welcome to the Dram Emporium, where every tale unfolds with a twist of drama. Step into a world where stories come alive, emotions run wild, and the stage is set for adventure. Join us as we journey through the realms of theater, film, and literature, exploring the depths of human experience. Get ready for a theatrical experience like no other. Welcome to the Drama Emporium.
The wind was cold and unforgiving, biting at William's exposed skin as he stumbled through the undergrowth. Fear lent speed to his steps. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves made him jump. But what was there to be afraid of? There was no one in the Whispering Woods after sunset. Or was there? A low growl echoed through the trees, sending shivers down his spine. Was it a wild animal? He didn't stop to find out. He just ran. Suddenly, the trees thinned, revealing a clearing bathed in moonlight. In the center stood an ancient oak, its gnarled branches clawing at the sky. William didn't recognize this part of the woods. Had he been running in circles? Panic threatened to overwhelm him. Then he saw it. An opening in the trees, a break in the moonlit sky. Hope surged through him. He broke into a run, bursting through the foliage and stumbling onto a path he'd never seen before. He walked for what felt like hours, the sound of his own breathing, the only sound that dared intrude on the forest's silence. The path led him to a stone archway overgrown with ivy. Moonlight spilled through the arch, beckoning him forward. As he stepped inside, the world shifted. He found himself in a bustling marketplace, a riot of colors, sounds, and smells. Stalls overflowed with exotic fruits, glistening jewelry, and strange contraptions that hummed with an otherworldly energy. People bustled about their business, their laughter echoing through the square. But they weren't like anyone he'd ever seen. They had pointed ears, smooth, pale skin, and eyes that glittered with an otherworldly light. Some were tall and graceful, while others were short and stout. All seemed to be engrossed in their conversations, oblivious to William's presence. He stood there mesmerized, his mind struggling to comprehend what he was seeing. A woman with hair like spun gold and eyes like emeralds turned to him, her expression a mixture of amusement and curiosity. "Lost, little brother?" she asked, her voice like the chime of bells. William stammered, trying to find his voice. Where am I?" The woman smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Welcome to Elowen, little brother. I see you have stumbled through the Whisperwood." She gestured to the archway. "It is not an easy feat, even for seasoned travelers. How did you find it?" William shook his head, still dazed. I don't know. I was just running through the woods, and then I saw the light." The woman's smile widened. "Ah, so fate has brought you here. Perhaps your destiny lies in Elowen." Before William could reply, a commotion broke out in the crowd. People were pointing and whispering, their voices rising in alarm. A hush fell over the square as a tall, regal-looking woman approached, her face hidden behind a crimson veil. An air of power and menace radiated from her. At her side were two guards whose faces were grim and whose eyes were fixed on the crowd. "Who are they?" William whispered to the golden-haired woman. Her smile faded, and she lowered her voice. The Scarlet Witch and her goons. She is the reason you should not have come here. William frowned. Why? What has she done? The woman sighed. She is evil, pure and simple. For years, she has ruled Eloin with an iron fist, draining our people of their magic for her own selfish purposes. She's the reason why many of us leave Eloin, seeking refuge in the human world. The Scarlet Witch stopped in front of the crowd, her gaze sweeping over the faces before her. I have heard a rumor, she said, her voice like shards of ice, that someone has entered Eloin illegally. Someone who does not belong here. Her eyes narrowed. If any of you know who this intruder is, I want you to tell me, and when I find him, I will have my revenge. William's heart pounded in his chest. Did she know he was here? Why hadn't the guards stopped him at the archway? Fear threatened to paralyze him, but then something unexpected happened. The golden-haired woman stepped forward. I know who the intruder is, she said, meeting the Scarlet Witch's gaze. And I say he has done nothing wrong. The Scarlet Witch's eyes flashed with anger. Oh, you think you can defy me, Elara? You and your precious brother are nothing but traitors. And now I shall deal with you both. Elara placed a hand on William's arm, her touch surprisingly firm. You must leave, William. Go back to your world before she changes her mind. But he couldn't just abandon Elara. No, I won't leave you to face her wrath alone. Elara shook her head. You don't understand. We are in grave danger. You could get hurt. Her eyes pleaded with him. Please, William, do this for me. He looked into her pleading eyes and saw the raw fear beneath the determination. He knew she was right, but he couldn't just leave her behind. As he hesitated, the Scarlet Witch took a step forward, her eyes blazing with power. So be it, she said, her voice echoing with menace. Then let the punishment begin. She raised her hand, and suddenly a net of dark energy shot out, ensnaring William and Elara. They struggled against the binding magic, but it was no use. The Scarlet Witch's power was too strong. She was draining the magic from them, leaving them weak and vulnerable. Just when he thought all hope was lost, a surge of power coursed through him, raw and untamed. It was as if the very essence of the earth was flowing into him, strengthening him, healing him. He roared, unleashing a wave of energy that blasted the Scarlet Witch and her guards away. They crashed into stalls and tables, sending merchandise flying. The crowd gasped, staring at William in disbelief. He could feel the power thrumming within him, calling out to be released. He didn't know how to control it, how to use it, but he knew he didn't want to keep it bottled up inside. Taking a deep breath, he focused on the Scarlet Witch, who was slowly getting to her feet, her face twisted in a mask of fury. With a Herculean effort, William raised his hands, and as he did, the ground trembled. Vines erupted from the earth, coiling around the Scarlet Witch and her guards, binding them tightly. They struggled in vain against the relentless vines, their screams echoing through the square. The crowd was silent, watching in awe as the young man with hair the color of wheat and eyes like the summer sky wielded powers they had only heard of in legends. With the Scarlet Witch subdued, peace returned to Eloin. The people, their faces alight with joy, began to cheer, hailing William as their savior. Elara rushed to his side, her eyes shining with admiration. William, how is this possible? He smiled sheepishly. I don't know. It came out of me. He looked out at the cheering crowd. What do we do now? Elara's smile widened. Now, she said, throwing her arms around William's shoulders, we celebrate. You have brought freedom back to Eloin. Now, how about some mead to wash away the troubles of the day? And so they celebrated, the people of Eloin and their unlikely hero. The feast lasted late into the night, the sounds of laughter and music echoing through the streets. William, with a mug of spiced cider in his hand, watched the revelers with a sense of contentment. Beside him, Elara laughed, her head thrown back, her face upturned to the moon. As the night deepened, the festivities began to wind down. People went home, tuckering their children in for bed and sharing tales of the brave young man who had defeated the Scarlet Witch. William and Elara stood together at the edge of the market square, watching the town settle down for the night. It's late, Elara said softly. You should go. You need to get back to your world before sunrise. William nodded, knowing she was right. But a part of him wanted to stay, to keep fighting by Elara's side. They reached the stone archway, the gateway between worlds. As the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, William turned to Elara, his heart heavy. Goodbye, Elara. Thank you for showing me the way. Elara reached out, her fingers lingering on his arm. Go now, William. And remember, even in the darkest of times, hope is the light that guides us through. William stepped through the arch, the world shimmering around him. When he opened his eyes, he was back in the Whispering Woods, the familiar trees, and undergrowth surrounding him. But he was changed. He was no longer just William, a young man from a small town. He was William the hero, the slayer of the Scarlet Witch. And wherever Elara was, he knew he would find her again. Their destinies were intertwined, and their paths would cross once more.